Hey, welcome to Alan's Woodworking. I'm Alan, and today we're going to go over a wood mill that we had made and tell us what you think of it. This is the mill we use to make our burley twist or barley twist and rope twist table legs. We are also adding an attachment to turn it into an actual lathe. So you may want to subscribe so you can see that later on. But right now we're going to go over the part that we have finished, and we have been using this to cut table legs already and some island legs. We'll try to do a video of that later to show you how it cuts, but right now let's just show you how we made this. It's about 8 foot long, and here's the base of it. This is the fundamental of the machine. I'll tell you what, let's just back up to that one. Now, as you can see, it's only about 12 inches wide on the inside, okay? And then this bottom part here is actually it's going to hold the gearing. We used channel. It was 3 by 6 inch, so it goes 8 foot from, well, it's a little over 8 foot long, but we can put an 8 foot piece in it. But yeah, this is very heavy. It's 1/4 inch steel. And then here is our actuator, broke down before it was assembled onto it. We used T-channel for the backing, and the reason we did that is because we didn't want our spindle motor adjustable side to side. We just wanted a fixed position, but we didn't know exactly where it was going to be at, so we put it right here, and you see where it's it can slide over on the T-slot once it's mounted. It works great. I love it. Kind of thinking I might do the T-slot later on. Here is a table leg we was working on. You can see the dust it makes. We've got I think it's 1.25 inch rails and 1.25 inch ball screw on it, and you see our attachment right here. This is a design we came up with. We haven't quite perfected it yet. We got them at both ends, but what it does, it allows you just to take a piece and slide it in. So if you're doing a 3 inch piece, you'd have a different one. If you have a 4 inch or whatever size 3 inch, you'd have two of the same ones, and they'll slide in. And they just slide in, you shoot a screw in and start cutting. Works real good. You don't have to take time to try to center up the piece. All this here right here is centered up. It worked very well. So I don't know, maybe an idea for you. Maybe you have a better idea if you like to share. I sure could use some help. Let's go on to the next one. This is just a 29 inch leg. Now this one right here, this is two 29 inch legs. I can cut at the same time with this, whereas it is a little longer. But now, when I made this, the rails for an 8 foot and the ball screw for an 8 foot was so outrageous, I decided to cut it back. So even though the piece will hold an 8 foot, it will only cut 5 foot of it, okay? I just didn't see the point. I'm not going to make full-length columns, so I cut back a little on the money. Maybe I shouldn't have. I don't know. We'll see. But it will cut porch post. You're 8 foot long, but it's only going to cut the 5 foot or 4 foot up for the top part, so you can still have the square to the bottom. So, but anyway, I can cut 2 legs at a time with this. It's very fast by doing it. And here I just made a little video. There's the controller. Okay, this is one of the little cheap ones you get off eBay. You can see it's dusty. I don't have no protection on it, so obviously this will not last very long. But, you know, right now I'm just kind of working through it. If I burn this one up, I'll just buy another. But I do like these things, I'll be honest with you. Now here's my gearing. You can see this right here. Okay, that is my indexing wheel. The holes are spaced, even though it don't look like it, they're spaced 1 inch apart. So when I'm doing cuts, and let's say if I'm doing using a 2 inch bit. Now a 2 inch bit, when it cuts on a 6 inch pitch, you're talking 2, 4, 6. It takes 6 inches, so I would start like with a 12. Then I'd go with like a number 4, or no, a 12, 4, and 8. Would be the 3 that I would use, and it would make my cuts on the inside. Now, the motor I got right here, it's a 90 volt DC. I got hooked to a controller. Now I don't have this hook solid, so my belt will slip. So if something got in the way of the machine as it was pulling it up, and it jammed it, or my hand or arm, this would just stop. Okay, it's got just enough pressure on it to pull it through the wood. Anything else gets in the way, she'll just stop. So that's kind of like my little safety feature. I thought about anchoring it down solid, but I'm afraid if I ain't paying attention, I don't have stops on it to disengage the motor when if it overran or got up to the head. But anyway, I stepped it down. You can't see the gear up in here, but I stepped it down. See if we can see it down. There's a little gear back here. It starts right here, comes over here, and I stepped it again, and it goes through here. Now, when the indexing wheel, when the pin is not in, this can turn all at once, but the leg won't turn. Okay, it'll just sit there. The leg will only turn if you put the pin in your index wheel. So, but I made this come up pretty good. Put a little drilled and tapped the center. Put me a little screw in it, and I used a flat spring that I can tighten up and put in there. I tried to do it by hand. Let's see if we can do it. You can see I got numbers. I guess I'm cutting spindles right now, and I'm using 12, 3, 9, and I think that's the 3 I'm using. I'm still using a 2-inch bit, or no, I'm sorry, I'm using a 1-inch bit, but I'm cutting an 1.5 inch piece. And here I am fumbling around trying to get that spring on with one hand while holding the camera. That did not work very well, I can tell you that. But anyway, let's go over here and look. Let's stop this. Now overlook the welding, but you see how the open part right here, that is so I can slide the piece in and I'll shoot a screw into it. Now this here was just put together as a test to make sure she would work, and obviously it did. I've cut probably around 30 or 40 pieces with this right here, cutting spindles. It's 1.5 inches. Well, no, I cut 40, then I cut 30. Okay, something like that. Anyway, this worked really well. I'm really impressed with this. You just drop it in. It's already centered as long as your wood's cut square. You just drop it in here, shoot your screw right there, and it's squared to the machine. You can just start cutting. There's no more lining out, measuring, or anything like that. So when I get ready, I will take this off and actually put me a different one in. And there's my spindle motor. It's a 4 kilowatt, I believe, 4 horsepower or something like that. I can't exactly remember, but I put a positive stop here, and there's another one right through here. So when I'm raising it up and down right here, I just unloosen this wheel, raise it up and down, and I got my positive stop right where my hand is. But it works really well. I like it. You can see me raising it up and down here. But this has been a workhorse. Now, overlook the poor craftsmanship, okay? I am a woodworker. I am not a machinist, nor do I have the tools of the machinist. Now here is the T-slots, and I bolted them in to the 1-inch thick aluminum here and here. And you can see maculator in there. This is my, this never moves. This stays here all the time. I've got 2 centers for the, or live centers for the back. I got one that's adjustable to any length I'm going to cut, and then I got this one right here is strictly for the 8-foot pieces. I made this. I used a 3x3 channel T-slot. Just bolted it in. I got it. It took a little while to get the height right, so the height from here is the same as the height at the head, but it does work out real well. I do like that. I got a little live center in here. It's adjustable where I can torque it in or out. Okay, let's see here. We're getting ready to go to another video, but here we are. Now I'll show you a different, or some of the things that we did on this one that I think you're really going to like. Here is my controller that operates the mill going back and forth. Okay, this is not the controller for the motor. It just operates going back and forth, forward and back. Here's a speed controller here, forward and reverse. You can see the gears. You can see how it takes it back. It took a little while to get these gears worked out, but we may get into that later. Here we are putting it up and down, the actuator. Now, the top of this is going to be redone, so I wasn't too much worried about it. Once we get really time, then we are going to add a PLC to this that will raise this up and down and bring this back and forth all by itself. So, but right now, everything's all kind of manual. You know, you pretty much doing it by your eye. And I'd really like these 1-inch rails. Now these are the Chinese bearings, linear bearings. They're okay. I'm not going to say they're great, but they're okay. Okay, the ball screws Chinese. I just, I was throwing this together, and like I said, I'm not a machinist, and I just came up with this. I made this with woodworking tools, if that tells you anything. So, don't judge me too hard, because I am not a machinist, but damn, I did good on this, I think. It is a cutting machine, as you can see right here, showing you how the let's see. Oh, okay. Now we're getting to the fun part. You've seen the part where it turns for the mill and how that works. Now, I added another motor and another controller to this, and this is to operate the lathe that we'll soon be doing. The motor here is on a rail, slides in and hooks right in. All you gotta do is just unscrew that center, and the lathe motor will actually slide right up into it. Just tell me what you think of this one. Now, I use this when after I get done cutting, I turn it on high speed, and I use it to sand my table legs, okay? And you can see right here, it's all attached in. As long as that pin is not in this wheel, this will not turn. So this will be free spinning, as you can see. So we'll let you see it. It's got a forward and reverse. It's got adjustable speed. I am so sorry about the cheap video, but hey, I work wood. I really don't do this stuff for a living on videos. Okay, there we can crank it up high speed. We did this for 2 reasons. Okay, we added this motor, one, so we can sand it out. Okay, that's the hardest part whenever you're doing this, is to be able to sand this out. And this is strictly at first it was strictly to sand it out. Secondly, it was to have a motor that could give us the RPMs we needed to turn it into a lathe. Now we are going to attach a device to it that will actually be used as a lathe, that will run down the rails and still cut. Shouldn't cost us very much. We've already got the design down, we just haven't built it yet. We've got our bearings in. It just slides right here. That's why we left this gap, is for that bearing to get on here, the machine, and slide over. And there is the new motor. So we've got 2 motors here. We've got 2 controllers for that. And then up here in the top, we've got a controller for the spindle itself. So that's what we've got so far. So tell us how you like this. Be nice to me, because like I said, I am not a video maker. But I thought we did pretty good. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you when I get the next video on the wood lathe, and maybe how we cut our table legs. Okay, thank you.